Welcome, all you hip kittens, to Professor Hoot's College of Musical Knowledge. Today, we're going to learn how to talk scat. Any of you cats know scat?
Yeah, sure.
Go ahead, try it, Gordon.
Oh, you mean like,
No. Like this.
Press the number 1 on your telephone now.
Bear Friend Tea Party.
Let's relax. You guys need to relax.
All right. You're listening to Bear Friend Tea Party, the podcast about fashion and shopping.
Bear Friend Tea Party.
A podcast about words and how we use them.
Podcast about puke and how to clean it up.
Bear Friend Tea Party.
This is the internet's leading podcast on vomit and vomit-related incidents.
Bear Friend Tea Party.
You're listening to Bear Friend Tea Party, the podcast about trash and how to get a permit to burn it.
Bear Friend Tea Party.
You're listening to Bear Friend Tea Party, the podcast on how to deny residents of your neighborhood permits to burn trash.
With us tonight on the podcast is unemployed composer and spreadsheet guru, Dr. Jonathan Bumpers.
Oh, yeah!
Reality TV producer and family man, Daniel Gunnard Beamish. I'm Jeremy Mullis from North Carolina. Christopher Winter could not be with us tonight. He has taken ill.
Where has he taken her?
No, you seem to have misunderstood the thing I said.
Bear Friend Tea Party. So, on the podcast tonight, segment 1, we've got classic hip-hop albums, the Fat Boys' Crushin' from 1987. Segment 2, how many Steves can we name? And segment
6.9%. Your eligibility expires.
Bear Friend Tea Party. Mail bag.
I'm going to reach deep into the Bear Friend Tea Party mailbag. There's a very good comment on our blog for episode 00004, Alley Cat Thinking About Fish. And at the time, we weren't really reading comments, so this kind of slipped through the cracks. But it's a classic, and it is a common response to our podcast. Chris B. writes,
Podcast number 4 is making me nauseous, whatever the horrible noise is. Seriously feel the need to throw up. Thank God it's stopped. My head.
So, yeah, well, Chris B., that's just,
Showbiz.
that's showbiz.
Hello?
Later, on in response to episode 00007, and the doctor was Nicolas Cage all along, Chris B. commented,
Podcast number 7 has interesting conversation, but too much noise.
and she uses quotes on the noise.
Seriously,
it's not really noise?
cut out the noise.
What does that
Usually our listeners use quotation marks around the word music.
Usually, yeah.
So I guess that's more of a compliment.
And then that was actually, Chris B. actually left another comment on that same episode saying, and this is a little redundant, saying,
Can you try using noise in moderation?
I just don't understand why
Well, Chris B., we tried to, and it got a little out of control, I guess. But
I don't know. I did okay.
yeah, for using the noise in moderation, you really
Nailed
were
it.
able to make a lot of noise.
See, I'm able to make it seem
working
like
within those constraints. You're able to make it seem like a wall of sound.
Shipped out to you. Press 1 now to receive your personal medical alert system, and by taking advantage today, you'll also receive $1,000 in grocery saving coupons, plus a 75% prescription discount card. Again, press 1 now to receive your personal medical
Reference to your current credit card account. There are no problems currently with your account. It is urgent that you contact us concerning your eligibility for lowering your interest rate to as little as 6.9%. Your eligibility expires shortly, so please consider this your final notice.
Press the number 1 on your telephone now.
Thanks to the live operator to lower your interest rate. Thank you.
We have a system waiting to be shipped out to you. Press 1 now to receive your personal medical card system. In grocery saving coupons, plus a 75% prescription discount card. Again, press 1 now to receive your personal medical card system.
Last two were collected to receive a 5-day and $4 inclusive vacation to Titan Mexico for a promotional family price of $598. In order to receive this offer, you must be 28 years of age and over, and have a valid credit card in order to step into the report. For more information, press 1 now.
What do you do? Well, we're just a basic...
Just three average heavy guys.
Right, from Brooklyn. And what we do is rap. Rap is like just taking rhymes, taking words, making the last words in each sentence go together, but sound the same.
Segment 1. Classic hip-hop albums. The Fat Boys, Crushin', 1987. I mean, ever since we started doing these classic hip-hop album segments, people have been writing in and saying, these segments are horrible. You just keep repeating yourself.
Yes, that's
true.
true.
I don't think you know anything about hip-hop.
The response has been tremendous. We're so gratified that so many people are so irritated.
Jeremy,
by
you literally said you do know nothing about hip hop in the last time.
And another common thing that people have been writing in is like, when are you going to talk about the Fat Boys Crushin' from 1987? Well, I think the time has come.
The chief rocket crew rocks Steve, and to my side, with the rap, the Prince Funky D, and our DJ, Cutmaster Dr. Knight, the original human beatbox. Get busy.
I've managed to condense my thoughts into 4 points I want to make about the album Crushin', and then Danny, I know this is also an album that meant a lot to you as a 10-year-old child.
Where'd you learn to make those sounds from?
Before I get into my points, let's just run down the basics. The Fat Boys, they're an old school hip hop trio made up of Prince Marky D, Cool Rocksky, and Buff Love, the MC, aka the Human Beatbox. Active from roughly early 80s to early 90s, though really they're really only relevant from about 83 to 87, I would say. Crushin' is the name of their 1987 release. It's their top-selling album, went platinum, and I would say it's pretty good. It's pretty good. It's not without its problems, which we will get into, but it's pretty good. Point number 1, this album is the embodiment of the so-called golden age of hip-hop. And let's unpack that for a second here.
Please.
So the golden age of hip-hop is a period roughly from mid-'80s to early 90s. People place it in different areas. Certainly, by the time Crushin' comes out, we are in the golden age of hip-hop, and certainly by the time that Puff Daddy is rapping about Godzilla, the golden age is over.
Is that really a thing?
Yeah, that was a horrible thing.
Is that on the soundtrack to the movie Godzilla?
Yeah, it was a promotional tie-in for the I don't know, like
The remake.
late 90s
The
Godzilla.
Matthew Broderick one, right?
Oh yeah.
I didn't see it.
Not the...
No, that was the same
Not
sound.
the-
That was on the same soundtrack that had
Guys.
a Green Day song that was a remix, but the only thing that was different is there were Godzilla noises added.
Because we're in like the preamble to my first.
I know.
point,
I was
and
just thinking how awesome it was that nobody had interrupted for a while. Okay, so go on.
Where was I? Jesus Christ.
You know, ever since we started.
Ever since we started this podcast.
So look, I don't really like the term the golden age of hip hop. I'm gonna be using it in the context of this podcast because that seems to be a term that people use, and it's basically this transitional period between the old school and what we would consider the modern hip hop period. And this is a period. This is when hip hop is really coming into the mainstream. It's moving from the underground to the mainstream. It's starting to really become commercialized. It's starting to become something that we more would recognize as the modern hip hop. Now, I reject the term the golden age of hip hop. There's a little bit of whenever you call something a golden age, there's kind of an inherent judgment there. There's a judgment like, that was when they were making that good old hip hop, before they come and started rapping about
it's an appeal to nostalgia, basically, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think so. And the people,
things are terrible now, and they used to be like more pure and more pristine and so forth.
Yeah, and I reject that, and I really don't. I also think that when you call something to me like a golden age implies something of like a degree of stasis. It's like a period of stability almost, like the Pax Romana or something, It's a period where things are great. People are having a great time and there's not a lot of tumult. And the so-called golden age of hip-hop is really a period where there's a lot going on. It's very chaotic, I think, in a lot of ways. I've come up with two other terms which I think are better terms. One of them is the hip hop Cambrian explosion. I think is a better term. Hip hop was in this kind of slow period of like early development, and then when you get to the so-called golden age, you have this kind of explosion of different styles, a lot of experimentation, a lot of things going on, which is analogous to the evolutionary like Cambrian explosion. But the term I like even more for this period is the hip-hop axial age.
I don't even get that.
I don't get it myself. I think the axial age is a period, and I was hoping Chris would be on this podcast because he actually knows about history, but I believe that is the period between the kind of classical period and like kind of the Middle Ages and the early modern. It's this period. It's a period that, although it was very tumultuous, very chaotic, a lot of crazy shit going down. It's also the period that spawned a lot of the thinkers who have shaped everything that came after that. Jesus, Confucius, the Buddha, etc. Assholes, but important people nonetheless. Well, Confucius was a cool dude.
Yeah, I guess Buddha was alright too.
So, to get back to the point I wanted to make,
Jeremy, can I ask you a distracting question?
Yes,
as long as you're distracted.
Yes, please.
If there is a hip hop analogous Cambrian explosion, is there also a KT extinction event?
I think if there was one, I think it might correspond to
Puff
the
Daddy
arrival
singing
of
on
Puff
the
Daddy.
Godzilla soundtrack.
I mean I think it might. I think probably if you were a scholar of hip hop, you might say that it corresponded to some of the copyright rulings that had to do with sampling. Since I'm not a hip hop scholar and I really dislike Puff Daddy, I'm going to say that it just corresponded to Puff Daddy. But this is a period.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, no,
that's kind of a huge aside, and
so
we can talk about sampling and. But let's not sampling and. But let's not do that.
In my listening to this, and I listened to this almost 2 times all the way through. This is an album that really kind of straddles the old school and the new. There's like, and I think it's strongest when it remains in the old school. But like, so anyway, that brings me to my second point. The second point I would like to make. This album is all over the place. It's all over the place in terms of style, in terms of quality, in terms of like the level of production.
In terms of whether or not the Beach Boys are singing.
In terms of whether or not the fucking Beach Boys are on there.
Yeah, it really straddles the fence on that one.
I mean, yeah, some songs have the Beach Boys, some of them don't. That song is horrible. I wasn't going to mention that song yet, but so I would break down the types of songs on this album into three types. Speaking in broad strokes, there's 15 tracks. 5 of them are skits.
Wait, hold. What are you talking about?
What do you mean? What am I talking about?
There are no skits. I think you were listening to the wrong album.
I was listening to Crushin. There's 5 tracks that are just like them like fucking around. It's like they're like.
This album has 10 songs on it, and one of the things I was going to point out was that I was really happy that there were no songs that were just skits.
The version I have has skits on them. Maybe they added that later in a re-release.
Really? So like a re-release? Well, that's insane. Well, no, because actually I thought that was one of the points I liked about it, because there are sort of like dialogues, but they're all contained within the song.
Oh, maybe they moved those. Maybe they moved those when they like went to CD or something. They moved those into separate tracks.
No, because they're not. They're in the music. They like. One of them is the bridge. It's a phone call.
Before she picked up this phone, it was ringing about 20 times, you know.
And, mostly they're just shout-outs, but, talking about safe sex and things like that.
So the entirety of my knowledge about this record comes from this Wikipedia article that I just pulled up right now.
I really hope I listened to the correct album.
Yeah, it only has 10.
Well, if the Beach Boys were
10
on
tracks on it.
Oh yeah, the Beach Boys were fucking on there.
Was it? Did you listen to Pet Sounds instead by accident?
It was terrible.
No, did you download this from some file sharing service were all the tracks named like 001, 002, like? Because you might like there might be just some bullshit that has nothing to do with the album.
No, it's definitely the Fat Boys. So you don't have the track Fat Boys at 40?
Like 40 years old?
Well, they definitely weren't 40 years old in 1987.
No, we don't have any of the skits.
You don't have this?
No, man. And I'm
it must
jealous.
Be like
I'll bet it's just some bonus material they threw in to make the album Crushin' even more appealing. But anyway, I don't have much to say about the skits whenever they were added. Yeah, please.
Did they? Are they? They added them in between tracks. But see, I that definitely cheapens it, like the problem that you had with the Chronic.
So I'm here looking at the Wikipedia article for their discography, and there is I don't see any kind of reissue or whatever the hell. But okay, so even more interesting. Their last album proper was called Mac Daddy.
Weird. So it's like the exact same title as that well-known Sir-Mix-a-Lot album.
When was it released?
91.
Yeah, but then Buff Love died in like 92, and
I think probably Sir Mix-a-Lot killed him.
When did Sir Mix-a-Lot's Mac Daddy come out?
I'm pretty sure it was 90. That's weird.
Isn't
That's
that
almost
weird?
as weird as the band Saves the Day having an album called Can't Slow Down.
Oh, like the Lionel Richie album? That is fucking... That's like a total mind fuck there. But
especially since when I asked the singer about it, he said he did not know that. There was a Lionel Richie album that also had that.
I mean, it's a common problem not being able to slow down.
Wasn't there at one point, a contest to guess your combined weights?
Yeah, it was sponsored by Kiss FM.
Yeah?
Tower Records, and if you can guess all three of us, the combined weight of all three of us together, for every pound you win a can of Diet Pepsi and $20 cash.
That's a lot of Pepsi, right? So how much did 3 of you weigh?
Well, at the time it was 718, now it's 8 something.
This album is all over the place. straddling the old and the new of hip-hop. There's 3 types of songs. There are, in my version at least, some skits that are just kind of throwaway bullshit, but I don't want to waste too much time on that. The 2 kinds of tracks besides that exist on this album, I would say there are some old school rap tracks, and I'm talking about songs like Protect Yourself / My Nuts, Between the Sheets. These songs have kind of a little bit more of a free-form structure. There's a lot of like the Fat Boys, like just screwing around, having a good time. They're, DJ Buff Love, the human beatbox, has a lot of room to play, and there's not much in the way of like a kind of a melodic hook that unifies the whole thing. The other tracks, which I think are the weaker ones, are the kind of pseudo-proto-modern rap tracks. I'm thinking about tracks like Boys Will Be Boys, Falling in Love. These are some of the weaker tracks.
Wait,
but
never. Okay, I'll let you
in my
speak.
opinion, these are some of the weaker tracks. They're the tracks that kind of are starting to kind of approach more the modern hip-hop mainstream sound, where it's kind of, there's a well-defined hook that's kind of melodic and poppy, and you're getting into a little more of a verse-chorus structure. In the case of the Fat Boys, these tracks are also really lame and kind of embarrassing at times, but that's a matter of opinion. In any case, I don't even know how to categorize the horrible track that involves the Beach Boys. I feel like there's some experimentation going on there, but it's also just like, as a whole, that track is just garbage.
Well, you can kind of safely ignore that, right? Because it's a cover.
Well, it's kind of a cover. What's interesting to me, it's a track that is a cover of the song.
What was the name of that one, Dolores? That just pop out.
Wipeout.
Wipeout.
That's what Wikipedia says.
By the Surfaris, I believe.
Yep.
And yet, for some reason, it features the Beach Boys singing backup vocals. Now, why you would pay for the Beach Boys? Like, why not just have them singing a Beach Boys song?
I guess that would cost even more, wouldn't it?
But the Beach Boys also did that song. I believe they covered
did they?
Wipeout. I think so, yeah.
Well, that makes sense. Oh. Okay. In any case,
it's closely associated with surfing.
What song is that? That's like a really obvious song that everybody.
Wipeout.
Isn't it that one?
Yeah.
And then at the beginning it says Wipeout. Yeah.
It sounds exactly like the song Black Eyed Susan Brown.
Okay. I think I get that confused with the song Bird is the Word.
No, that song goes bird, 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 bird is the word.
Yeah, but it's other than that, it's like the same song, right? Or is am I thinking of Pachelbel's Canon?
Wait, what is the what? I haven't heard about
Danny,
that.
don't you know that the bird is the word?
I was under the assumption that everybody had heard.
All right, sorry. We're getting distracted.
All right, so anyway.
Sorry, America.
Point being, and going back to my original point about the whole transitional nature of the so-called golden age of hip-hop, I do think this is an album where it's all over the place. To an extent, it's understandable because hip-hop is changing so much during this time period. So you've got a lot of very differing production values. Like if you listen to Protect Yourself / My Nuts, which I want to talk about in more depths later, it's pretty rough. It's almost like I listen to that and I'm like, what is this? Is this like an Alan Lomax field recording of the Fat Boys like performing live? There's a lot of like screwing around. It's like, why is that 2 songs in the first place? This brings me to my third point.
When can we enter?
I have 4 points. This is number 3. This is going to be a
an
long
hour and
discussion.
3 minutes. Hour and 3 minutes.
The third point I want to make.
So we're ahead of schedule.
The song "Protect Yourself / My Nuts" is an amazing song.
Can I just say, for the listener that may not be familiar with this album, it's 2 songs in one. When Jeremy says /, it's actually the mark.
That is the actual
character.
title of the song, of the track.
Yeah, it's not Protect Yourself / My Nuts.
Oh.
Like, it's not the word /. That would just be gross.
That wouldn't make
it's
any
like
sense.
a medley. Like the first half of this song.
Yeah,
is,
it's a medley.
Is a,
yeah.
Well, you
is a
still need some
weird,
punctuation anyway.
Kind of not that good rap
It would be
about
protect
how you
yourself,
should wear a condom.
/ my nuts.
Well, it's actually like it's. I'll let you.
No, I would very much like to hear your thoughts on protect yourself / my nuts.
Well, I think that it's very indicative. It kind of dates itself in the way it's very kind of like the late 80s, like AIDS was on everybody's mind. And, the crack epidemic was in full swing. And a lot of the sort of like, I don't want to say cleaner rap groups, but more, not the Fat Boys don't cuss
Like
that much.
Will Smith kind of.
Ugh.
Yeah.
I'm not sure, but
Okay.
I mean, I don't.
Well,
I don't
Danny,
know
have you not heard Will Smith's
I know next to
record?
nothing about hip hop or music production. but this kind of plays into their image as kind of like a little bit more friendly, kind of like I'm not sure what the term is, but they have some lyrics about they have some lyrics about crack, that you shouldn't use crack, but it almost has a kind of PSA vibe to it.
Yeah, the whole first half, the first section of the song is that, like, the message is you should wear a condom and you shouldn't smoke crack, right?
I don't know if it mentions crack in the title song Crushin.
Oh, maybe they don't. Yeah, maybe they don't mention it in that one, but
I mean it's got that sort of public service announcement vibe to it. Like they even say like this is a message coming at you from the Fat Boys.
This is a message coming from the Fat Boys. You know what I'm saying? They go like this.
Yeah, and I don't love that. It's fine if you don't want to do drugs or have unprotected sex. I think that's fine. You can be cool and not do those things, but I don't think you should sing or rap about not doing those things if you want to be cool.
But that's what I mean. It's like that was kind of the vibe at the time.
Yeah.
Is that there's very much a backlash in the community against that image of just hooliganism and street drugs and promiscuity.
I guess this would have been right in the middle of the crack epidemic. Well, in any case, to me, the first part of that song is just kind of weird, where they're talking about how you should wear a condom. I really like the My Nuts segment of this song.
It makes sense. I mean, they say like, "Let's get stupid." Before they go into the before they hit the.
I mean, it's so weird. It's like a medley, but there's not like it's not like there's a really like clean segue or anything. It's just like, all right, now we're gonna move on to a different song. It's
Protect yourself. Hit it! Yeah. Yo, let's get stupid, y'all. Yo, homeboy, you seen him? See who? My nuts, man. Who you think? Forget.
Let's get stupid. Right, a vaguely related but like kind of contradictory.
I love it. But it's an amazing track, and I'll tell you. I want to talk about.
Don't give away the punchline. Are you going to give away the punchline?
What is the punchline? When he says "my nuts."
No, that's the hook.
That's the chorus. Yeah.
There's two things that I really like about the My Nuts part of this track.
Okay.
Number one, I love the whole feel of this song. It reminds me, it's so old school. It takes me back to, it reminds me of like an old folk song like Down Where the Watermelons Grow or like the Big Rock Candy Mountain or something, in that like all the verses are like, they could really be in any order. They're basically totally unrelated. They're merely just held together by this kind of theme that like they're funny raps about one's nuts, and they end in like the line "my nuts, my nuts."
You mean like it's like that Down Where the Watermelons Grow, in the sense that it could be. There's not a story arc. It's just like a list of things. I mean, it's yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And
with the refrain after every 2 seconds.
And I feel like in its original form, we obviously now we have this canonical version of Down Where the Watermelons Grow, because we've all listened to that Homer and Jethro album.
Right.
But like originally, I feel like that's kind of a folk song form where, you were free to make up your own verse. Or like, oh, I like this verse this guy sings. And it's like, you pick and choose. It's that kind of a song. The song is really like the form. And this like gimmick, it's got a chorus. But the verses can be much more free form. And I feel like this is a song where you could easily like, this other rapper we know is in the house tonight. He can jump on stage and do his verse about his nuts.
Well, you know what? I really like your point about how it, like, with Down Where the Watermelons Grow and the song, how it's like it's the song is not so much about the thing, it's about the making of the thing. It's like the ontology of the music is that it's a process rather than a product.
But there is a major difference that you're overlooking, and that is the punchline.
What is the punchline?
What is the
Let's
punchline?
go ahead and ruin that.
That is the punchline. Like, Down Where the Watermelons Grow is a nonsense song, not to disparage it, but it's a nonsense song similar to This Medicine Is No Good. That could just be like any number of verses. It could go on for X.
Who broke the lock on the henhouse door?
Yeah, or
Big Rock Candy
or
Man.
who put the bump in the bump a bump a bump.
Yeah, or who pumped the wind in my donut.
Or November Rain.
Yeah, that one has a solo.
But go on. What is the punchline?
We will be discussing that solo on classic hair metal solos, which I know people have been asking for November Rain since we started doing that segment.
Yeah.
Now, here's the deal. You're right that the verses are nonsensical sort of ribaldry.
I mean that in a like I love that.
No,
I love that about it.
That is a house opinion on this podcast. But okay, but it goes like what are some of the examples of, like, me and my nuts are a real deaf 3. Him and his 2 testicles.
Yeah.
They don't do nothing else but hang with me, right?
Yeah. Nice.
We're a real cool team on the football field. Something. My nuts. Got that little echo on it. It's genius, and that really drew me in as a 10-year-old. But and it goes like, one is black and the other is white, and it's like, what's wrong? Well, what kind of a testicle does this guy have?
I interpreted that as part of his multiracial identity.
Yeah. Okay. Fine. That's complicated, right?
So like his nuts are like indicative of like different facets of his psyche.
No, then that's what I thought, and I was like, oh, because the white-looking one must be like half black and half white, but then it turns out he's Puerto Rican.
So you guys are overthinking it, because it's like, it's like if you're gonna fight with me, you gotta fight. If you're gonna fight my nuts, you gotta fight me too. That makes sense. It's like, survival of the fittest kind of. Okay. But then if you listen to it again, at the end, he says something. I don't remember the exact lyric leading up to it. It's like the essence is, well, this has all been fun. I don't remember how it's exactly phrased, but it's like, well, it's all been fun, but cool and buff are the nuts I'm talking about.
Well, in a way, it's
no. That's the punchline.
It's an appeal to tolerance, right?
No, but
because if one is black and the other is white, and if that looks dumb, hey, that's all right.
No, John,
one of
listen.
them is black and one is Puerto Rican.
One of the
so
he's talking. One of them is it's not. He's talking. It's a pun. He's like, my nuts, my crew. The other 2 fat boys are my nuts. Me and my nuts are a real deaf 3. It's like, okay, it's the 3 of us.
Yeah. And deaf was like a thing that you wanted to be at the time. Okay, but I don't think that undermines.
So it's like, it's like a play on words,
Yes,
on multiple levels.
The whole time, and the whole time you're like, okay, it basically it's a reversal. It's a punchline.
Great number. I don't don't care what you say. I thought it was dumb. Maybe you're right.
I'm only like halfway through my segment on the fetish.
Their friend tea party.
Note to self.
Go on to your next
The
point. 'cause
second
I
thing
kind of
that-
interrupted you
The
there.
second thing that fucking blew me away about this track is that it's like a reference to the Muppet Show.
What? Really? Oh wait, so his nuts are like Statler and Waldorf?
It's much more explicit than that. Okay. So like if you listen to the chorus of this song, it's like my nuts, and then like Buff Love comes in. It sounds like on a kazoo going.
Oh, really?
And then it's my nuts. And if you think about it, there's that Muppet Show song, the Manamana song.
Yeah.
It's like, but instead of Manamana, it's my nuts.
Wow.
And it's subtle.
I never noticed that.
I wonder. Wow.
And I'd heard this song like several times before, because it's a great song. But just listening to it this time, I realized like they're totally riffing on the Muppet Show.
Do you think that's like a conscious thing?
It's definitely conscious.
It's definitely conscious.
My nuts, do.
Mana. What up, Mana? Yo, me and
that brings me to my fourth point.
Of this subpoint.
My fourth point of this segment, which is the fourth thing that I really came away from this album with. I mean, and I'll have a conclusion also, of course, but I think the real talent of this group is Buff Love, a.k.a. the original Human Beatbox.
Nailed it.
Do you agree?
You're gonna talk like?
I mean, he's fucking amazing, and it's like it's incredible when you think back. Like this is in the '80s. They don't have like computers and shit, and this is like you're like ripping this shit live. You're mixing it up. He's sitting there with like, he's got probably, I'm assuming, a TR-808 drum machine, a couple of turntables, maybe a sampling keyboard, and he's got the Buff Love pipes.
Just give us a demonstration of what you do, Human Beatbox. I'll step back.
Like spitting that shit himself. And he's just like throwing this shit together. It's fucking amazing. And it really, like, when you listen to like some of the better, like the more old school tracks on this album, they have that really like live feel that you really don't get in modern pop music or hip hop music at all. Like there's an energy to it that's really rad, and which I really like.
No, it is really rad, and I listened to this album today in its entirety, possibly for the first time. I mean, like start soup to nuts, paying attention the whole time, and whatever that means, really. And I was also struck by the consistent freshness of Buff's human beatboxing.
It's crazy, and he's human beatboxing and MCing at the same time.
Yeah, probably. But what struck me is that how influential his style of beatboxing has been. Yeah, like it sounds stupid when we do it, but it's like somehow like what is okay? I understand that when it's supposed to be like a snare drum, or it's like that tool in the beat, and then
I was reading the as a record scratch, but also maybe a place where he's taking a breath.
Well, yeah.
I don't think there's any breath taken there because it's like garbage. It's like equal in and equal out. I am not. I am, and I would never.
No. But I want to tie this in. I want to tie this back into when we were talking about the Chronic. One of the things I said is like I don't know why at the end of the song, Dre just leaves the fucking beat playing for like a minute at the end of the song. And I think when I listen to it in the context of the Fat Boys, like there's a lot of times in the on this album and on other Fat Boys albums where there's like, you know, there's a breakdown where it kind of just goes back to the beat. But yeah, that's where Buff Love is taking his solo. That's his verse where he's like,
well, hold on a minute.
Shit.
That's not always true. There are a couple of songs where Buff has a clear beatbox solo.
Yeah.
One of them is in the bridge to Falling in Love, when he woos a girl over the phone.
I think I may have skipped that track.
And I suggest this is one of the things that has infuriated me about your opinions from the beginning of this segment is that you classified the song "Falling in Love" as one of the not good songs, and indeed one of the not old school songs. When in fact that has one of the more, impressive examples of Buff's human beatboxing. The bridge is a telephone call between him and the girl he's wooing, and then he gets all choked up, and the girl is clearly sort of like not impressed. She's like laughing. You can hear people in the background. She's like, "Hurry up, I gotta go." And he's like, "All right, I can't tell you what's on my mind, but I can do this." And he starts going like, "I love you," and then the girl goes, "Oh, that sounds so good, Bob. I love you."
Oh, that sounds so good, Bob.
Okay, that I do remember that part. That was pretty good. I just hate the fucking hook to that song. The hook to that song is so insipid, and it just reminds me of everything that I dislike about a lot of modern mainstream hip hop.
Yeah, but okay, there's the hook in the beginning, and then like most
in love is a serious thing to do.
No, but again, it's kind of has that harkens back to that PSA vibe, like, you know, kind of giving you good advice on what to do about, you know, important social topics. You know, you better watch yourself. You know, don't. But most of the verses, besides the rapping, are Buff sort of just like talking. They're like, "You gotta watch yourself, man. It's crazy out there. You don't know who to love. You know, my girl says I love you, but how do I know that?"
It's a good point.
You guys, you keep saying a PSA vibe, and I'm picturing like a collaboration with Ken Nordine.
Right, and McGruff.
Like he comes in the middle and he's like, you know.
He's like, yeah. Tell me about this. How does it feel? How does it feel to you? What do you mean? You know what I mean. I'm talking about the street value of a dime bag. Oh yeah.
I still don't know who Ken Nordine is. This is
he's the guy from the Vegetable Chronicles.
Apples, potatoes, tomatoes.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I mean, he's got a bunch of records of his own where he's like, a lot of them are like, there's two of him talking to himself. And
right now, this very moment, as we speak, a paradigm shift of equal magnitude has grabbed the world of video. A paradigm shift.
So yeah, hey Danny, have you ever listened to the Fat Boys debut album? Their self-titled debut?
No, but I was reading just now when I was trying to figure out what the hell your re-release with the 15 tracks is. I read that their debut album was re-released in a pizza box.
I have to tell you, in conclusion, Crushin' is a great album, and it's a really interesting kind of historical piece. It really sums up a lot of what's going on in hip-hop in that period, in my opinion. But if you're going to listen to just one Fat Boys album, I highly recommend their debut album, Fat Boys. It's so good. It's all like old school stuff. The tracks are much longer. The opening track is like 8.5 minutes long, and I think it's called In Jail.
No, it's called Jailhouse
Rap. Yeah, it describes how he went to jail for like breaking into a pizza place and then he ate the pizza, but then he like ate so much pizza he got tired and like he just took a nap and then like the police found him there, etc., etc.
Wait,
Really good.
Somebody has an album called In Jail, right?
Slick Rick.
Slick Rick?
It's called Behind Bars.
I thought it was called In Jail, but
it was recorded in jail.
The chorus of Jailhouse Rap is
it was after Slick Rick gets fired.
That sounded like Carmen Sandiego. In jail.
In jail.
So good.
The Warrant.
If you haven't listened to, I highly recommend. Like that album is enjoyable from the beginning to the end, and it's like it's brilliant. And I do think their old school stuff I just think is much stronger, and that album is old school from the all the way through. It's fantastic.
Well, there's something to be said for that, Jeremy. I mean, at the beginning of this segment, when you said that the Fat Boys were relevant pretty much from like 84 through 87, I mean, this album came out in 87, so...
Yeah.
It was like the pinnacle of the, you know...
Well, or it was the sort of like death knell of it. Crushin was there's their biggest selling album, mainly because it was released, you know, in the height of their buzz.
Yeah.
And that's why everybody bought it. But it was really due to the strength of their prior releases. So in that way, it's almost exactly analogous to Metallica's Black album.
But I just made that up. No, that sounded really insightful. That was insightful in more ways.
Bear Friend Tea Party.
We have to talk about the album cover to their debut release.
That's the one where there's a pizza box and there's on top of the pizza.
The album cover to their debut release, Fat Boys. The three Fat Boys are standing there. On the left, I believe, is Buff Love, holding an ice cream cone and a sugary soda and sticking his tongue out. In the middle is what's his face, the other black one, looking happy, and then on the right is the Puerto Rican one eating a giant hamburger, and then floating in front of them and breaking out of the frame, highlighted by a hot pink halo, is a pizza box.
Breaking the fourth wall.
Breaking the fourth wall, which contains a pizza with one slice out of it. And inside the pizza box are three smaller Fat Boys dressed in prison garb. The three of them together holding what to them is a single giant slice of pizza and all about to bite into it. I mean, I would say that album cover is probably the greatest work of art of the 20th century.
It's very surreal. I mean, it's like...
it's brilliant. It's absolutely
See,
brilliant.
It's funny that this discussion could turn toward the brilliance of their first album cover, because I figured we would be talking about the album cover to Crushin'.
Which I would love to talk about that.
Did you mention that one of them is also holding an ice cream cone?
I did.
I think so.
There's so much to say,
but it bears repeating.
I believe that's Buffalo.
Because ice cream and pizza.
But the question in my mind is are the miniature versions of themselves like are the full size versions like are they having some sort of argument or disagreement with the miniature versions? Like the miniature versions like snuck in and stole the pizza?
No, I don't think they're interacting.
But the one that's holding the ice cream cone really looks like he's looking at them.
You know, it defies a simple explanation. I don't think you can place just one reading on it. Here's what's great. If you look at like the Fat Boys album covers over the span of their careers, like the two rapping ones, they stay about the same size, but Buff Love just gets fatter and fatter to the extent that like after Crushin', he has to be like sitting down.
I know one of them isn't actually all that fat.
One of them is really not that
fat. Needs to be said.
You know, none of them are really exceptionally fat.
Look at
first
some,
except for the
on
one
the first
who's
album. On the first album cover, none of them are that fat.
Yeah.
Buff Love is like a little chunky,
Which one is Buffalo?
I think he's the fat one with glasses.
The one with
He's
the
the
ice
fat
cream
one,
cone?
yeah.
He's the one with the ice cream cone and the sugary soda.
Okay.
He's the one in the middle on the Crushin album cover, I think. The one with the medallion and the oversized, inexplicable green hat.
He's the one who died in 1992 at the weighing 450
Oh,
pounds.
that's why he's not listed as a current member.
No, he died by being fat. Yeah, death by being fat.
Literally died by being fat.
And that's in fact why that song was dedicated to the Fat Boys.
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, although my client did not die of natural causes, I must concede that neither was he murdered. He died by being fat.
See, I was going to get into one of the first things that struck me about this album as a 10-year-old was the album cover to Crushin features the Fat Boys are in a junkyard, and there's a junked out old what looks to be maybe like some kind of old muscle car, and it's all junked out, and somebody has put some graffiti on the side of it in spray paint that says Crushin', and it's unclear whether they came upon this junkyard car, it said Crushin', and they named their album after it, or if this concept was decided in advance and they staged it. Regardless,
It's kind of low effort because it seems like they should be crushing the car, because they're fat.
Now,
but
that
the car
brings
is
me to
the
my
car is
second.
completely intact.
See, exactly. You just hit.
That's
on
why
the
it's so
pulse.
brilliant.
No, why it's so brilliant is that the three Fat Boys are standing on top of the car. They're standing on top of the car.
Okay, we agree on that.
Yeah, I think we can all
and
agree on that.
they're all
There's
posturing.
no contention here.
Their posture, and the hood of the car is kind of up, and there are other junked out cars in the background. But they're all standing on the car. They're kind of aping and posturing, each in a different way. One of them's got his fist back like he's about to punch you, and the other one is kind of standing on one leg like he's holding a marionette or something. The other one, who I think is just pointing. But yes, Jonathan, it is amazing that you bring that up because I don't know. This is the original J card from the cassette that I got for my 10th birthday. Yeah, can we agree that they're all standing on top of the car? Right?
Wait, hang on a sec. Wait,
They're pretty clearly.
Can we go back
standing
just
on
a
top of
second?
car there.
Yeah.
Those things are called J cards.
Yeah, they're shaped like a J.
Oh yeah, if you're looking at it from the
Hold it up again.
like the top down.
So but when you open up the sleeve, the Fat Boys are gone.
Oh, and the
car is crushed.
Oh,
So
that's brilliant.
listening to the album causes the car to be crushed.
Or the Fat Boys' weight, I think, is possibly the implication.
Yeah, but the weight is not. It's not just the weight of their mass. It's also the weight of their words.
It's also the weight of their hip-hop skills.
And the portent behind them.
What?
The portly portent.
Danny, what do you
Wordplay.
Hamburgers.
All right, so how many hamburgers?
2.
A piece?
Yeah.
All right, 6 hamburgers. So pretend I'm ordering it, right? I'm working with you, and I'm the road manager. All right, I'll have 6 hamburgers.
3 orders of fries.
3 orders of fries. Yes, this is breakfast order. Yes, go ahead.
6 Cokes. 6 Cokes.
6 Cokes, please.
4 apple pies.
4 apple pies.
What do you think about their rapping skills?
Well, I think that they have a lot to say. I think that their flow is generally. I like that they're always very sort of optimistic, and they don't really posture that much. They don't say they don't really get into how awesome they are. They're kind of a little bit selfless.
It's socially
Magician,
responsible.
MC technician,
Hip-hop.
highly respected in my position. Cool Rock Ski, the chief rocker of rap. Beat me in the battle, get off that crack.
See there, don't do crack. But that's in the song Crushin'. I think that's probably the most self-aggrandizing track on there. You have a lot of things that are a lot of songs, as we discussed, the public service announcement style, like, advice type songs. Don't fall in love until you've known the girl at least 2 or 3 months.
So when they say not to fall in love, do they mean not to have sex?
They probably do.
Just don't fall
Just
in
use
love.
just use a condom. Oh, one of the things that I really like about their hip hop, about their rapping style, is that they do this thing where it's like they share one line.
Constantly.
It won't just be like a call and response, but it'll be like a call with a response inside of it. If the line is kind of, or just like one guy saying the other line, like the line is, if using a condom makes you feel kind of queasy. It'll be like, one person will say, if using it, the other one will say, condom makes you feel kind of queasy. It's like kind of a trade-off,
If using a condom makes you feel kind of queasy.
Like, I don't know what you call that, but it's... And honestly, I don't know if the Fat Boys were the first people to do that. And this kind of brings me to my next point.
They might have been very out of breath for MCs at the time.
So somebody got to fill in for...
I needed to come in and
Oh, that happens in choral music a lot, where there's like, if one section has to, it runs out of air, has to take a breath, and the other section will sort of like go down an octave to cover that section's note.
Yeah, I think it happens in a more. It also happens in like folk music too, in like Balinese, like Hocketing, and that kind of crap.
I got that vibe too.
Yeah.
I'm so glad that you mentioned choral music. I do feel like this. One of the things that's most striking when you listen to this like really old school shit is the meter is so rigid, and it's just like.
That's exactly yes.
That was one. There's no rubato to it at all.
Technician, highly respected in my position. Cool rap ski, the chief rocker of rap. Beat me in the battle, get off that crack. The beats on the 2 and the 4, is the emphasis. And like if you like pull up the lyrics to Crushin, it's like each verse is 4 rhymed couplets, and they're in that meter. And like compare that to like pull up the lyrics to like the first song on the Chronic. It's like totally free form, and like it's in this period of rap we're kind of letting the meter determine the words in the rap, and later on we move to this place where we're kind of letting the words determine the meter. The meter can like stretch and move around and like.
No, I noticed that
Sir
too.
Mix-a-Lot kind of has that quality too, doesn't he?
Yes, so I was about to say that.
To the point that like that really old school rap, it's like kind of corny. It's got that like such a cliche. I'm the master rapper and I'm here to say I love Fruity Pebbles in a major way.
He loves Fruity Pebbles in a major way.
The bedrock, yellow, orange, purple, lime, and red. But to get that fruity taste, I got a trick friend. Once upon a time, old stories tell us, there was a duke whose name was Theseus of Athens. He was lord and governor, and in his time he was such a conqueror. That's from the Canterbury Tales.
Well, because that was what like got picked up on by like when rap started getting big. It's like when mainstream corporate culture is trying to cash in on it. That's what they picked up on it. Like they're like, oh, that's the easiest thing to take from it is that meter. So all the hokey sort of like inauthentic kind of like raps about like Kellogg's cereal and shit were all like they're that hokey because that's all they take and there's nothing left.
That's why that becomes such bullshit. Is
when I was in middle school, our teachers made us perform a song about the rainforest.
Oh yeah, we did that.
The rainforest rap,
the tropical rainforest.
Right, all that beauty. Right, it's something about like long-tailed macaws and
the tropical
rainforest.
Whoa, we did that too.
Falling in love is a series.
Whatever happened to the rainforest? Did we cut that down?
We all did.
Nobody cares about
That's so weird.
Fuck that.
You did that in kindergarten?
Yeah, we did that in public school. We did that in. Yeah. I think I was probably in like 3rd grade.
You weren't even in the same school.
That was how powerful the draw of the rainforest was. I don't know. I mean, that makes total sense to me. Like that's like now that as soon as you've like actually taught a class, you know, like, oh, that's an easy lesson plan. Play this fucking video for them. You know, they can laugh about that for like 10 minutes, and then okay, now read the lyrics.
And they'll be talking about it 20 years later
Yeah.
on a podcast.
Bullshit. Fucking asshole.
Yeah, fuck the rainforest. That's what I say.
Yeah, I was
Rainforest
actually,
can suck a
Jonathan,
big
I was
fat
going to
dick.
draw the parallel. Going to draw the parallel between the Fat Boys and Sir Mix-a-Lot in that they have you can listen to several of their songs and it seems like they're repeating the same vocal phrasing.
Like you could Sir Mix-a-Lot, Sir Mix-a-Lot, perhaps even.
With this kind that I bought from the stove.
Kansas City. Yeah, no, it's pretty pronounced. And the Fat Boys, when I was listening to that album, I was like, there's some songs when it could have been another song. And like there are some songs on Crushin that don't have as much character as if you sang a line from, I don't know, Rock Rulin', I might not be able to pick it out from a line from, you know, Boys Will Be Boys. But
well, if you just sang it like by yourself, right?
Yeah,
you don't like
Buffapella.
You're not talking about like playing a clip of the song. You're talking about like, you know,
because they're all kind of the beats are all the same tempo.
Well, I mean, I think.
See, you're saying a
yeah,
little
you know,
more there.
and Buff is a good
bit,
beatboxer, but he also has kind of a rigid phrasing to him because it'll be like bump, dum, bump, 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 bump. Turn around, turn around, turn around, turn around, turn around. And his turnaround is usually like, ooh, you know what I mean?
Well, yeah, but I mean, it was party music. It was like, you know, you were listening to this shit at the club. It was like, that's kind of...
At the Kansas City Country Club?
Or the Carriage Club.
But not the Rock Hill Club.
Certainly not the Mission Hills Country Club. So, but... Oh, all of our Mission Hills Country Club listeners just spit out their...
They just unsubscribed.
Did a spit take with their...
they just spit out their 76 Jordan.
Jeez, rewind that.
I mean, I'm going up to Connecticut tomorrow night to sing, and I know they'd love to hear a little rap music
What
up there.
Read it. Go back in that transcript of this podcast that you printed out and are reading for me. And
typed out on a typewriter.
Print out and wrote
on the steno.
Okay, we're kind of off on a tangent here. All right,
is everyone satisfied? With, does anyone have anything else to say about?
Yeah, I do have more to say. It's listening back to it. I was surprised at how much electric guitar there is on this album.
I hate that. That was a point that I was gonna make, and I took it out, and I was just like, I don't even want to go there, but. Yeah.
Well, Crushin has a guitar lick and it has but one of the songs has a straight up wailing guitar solo. I think it's like Between the Sheets.
You know what I think it is, and the Beastie Boys Fight for Your Right to Party came out in 1986. This came out in 1987, and they're trying to cash in on that.
Well, that's exactly, Hell No is basically Fight for Your Right to Party. In message and aesthetically.
I mean, it's better than Fight for Your Right to Party.
Yes,
but
it is.
But it's still, like, there are times when I listen to that song and I'm like, I really want to like this, but it makes me think of the Beastie Boys, and I hate thinking about the Beastie Boys because I hate the Beastie Boys.
Why do you hate the Beastie Boys?
Well, I hate the Beastie Boys.
I never thought about why.
They're just so fucking obnoxious.
Just took it on faith, huh?
Well, two reasons. Number one, they're just so fucking obnoxious. And number two, they have this, like, they're like, there's all these, you know, these people that like the Beastie Boys that are like hipsters and like into music, and they're like, no, they're actually really good, and like, you know, like, and they'll like these Beastie Boys apologists who will say like, oh, you know that early stuff, you know, like Fight for Your Right to Party, that's obnoxious, but they know they're being obnoxious, you know, and they're like, that's kind of the joke. And I listen to that song and I'm like, really? Are they in on the joke, or are they just fucking obnoxious? I think they're just fucking obnoxious.
Well, what's obnoxious about it? Is it like...
What do you mean? What's obnoxious about it?
I've never heard it. I've never heard any Beastie Boys.
Oh well, see, that's why.
Except for the bumper. I've heard the bumper music on Neil deGrasse Tyson's podcast.
You've heard
and
You
that's
Gotta
it.
Fight.
Right.
To party. You haven't heard that?
Sounds like a valuable message.
I mean, it is a positive message.
It's like, you know, you got to raise your freak flag, you know? I mean, it's like, it's...
Oh, it is so not living a freak flag.
No, but
Fight for your right to party?
Can we...
Sounds like a positive.
I think the Fat Boys song "Hell No" is everything that the Beastie Boys are trying to accomplish, but effortlessly instead of failing.
Yeah, I think to an extent, I think you're right. I think it's just tainted by by just the memory of that Beastie Boys song. It's just kind of like, I can't listen to the Led Zeppelin song Kashmir. There's nothing wrong with that song, but I can't listen to that without thinking about that fucking Godzilla song that Puff Daddy sampled Kashmir in. It's like, that song is ruined forever. And granted, the chain of causation is going in the other direction there, but...
No, but Hell No, the Fat Boys song Hell No is a good example of one of the things that struck me about the vocal stylings of these three gentlemen. Compared to a lot of rappers, they're doing a lot of shouting. I think sometimes they're verging on
That's a real
screaming.
deep point there. Can you unpack that, Danny?
Well, but I think that's striking in that they don't come across as mean or overtly angry most of the time. They're just kind of really pumped up about things that they just have to be. I mean, especially when they get back and forth.
Hell no!
When they're trading off vocals, they're just like, you're like, I went for a ride with who? My nuts! You know, they're just like, they're working each other up and feeding off each other's energies and just getting like really into it.
Yeah, I think rap was a little more shouty back then.
Hell No is probably the closest they come to genuine anger, and it is like, then even that has the call and response element to it, where it's like, I said, boy, what? Do you even care? I said, hell no. Hell no.
It's like trying to be subversive and yet at the same time being like so unsubversive. It's kind of like yakety yak or something. Like yakety yak. Don't talk back.
like uh-oh.
I was thinking yakety sax at first.
It's like the only thing that's actually subversive about it. I guess they're using the word hell, which maybe was a little like
that's kind of risque
at the time. Like now, like
no, actually, I noticed that there wasn't much swearing throughout the album, and there's also one. I think it's even in that song when the couplet is something like something glass, and then you're like, uh-oh, they're gonna rhyme that with ass. But I bet that they do one of those things because it's sort of a clean thing. I bet they sort of like have a sound effect instead, or but then they actually say ass.
Oh, they do. So it's
hell and ass.
Well, I downloaded the clean version of the album, but
so there was a hilarious sound effect such as or maybe even happening there.
On my version, it's heck no.
I said no thanks.
I said no sir.
No ma'am. Oh man. So
Bear Friend Tea Party.
Segment 2, how many Steves can we name? 3, 2, 1, go.
Wait, can we name our terms here?
Does Stevens count?
Yes.
Yeah, but with a V or with a PH.
How long do we want? 1 minute? 1 minute? 2 minutes?
Well, probably. How about 2 minutes? But they have to be famous Stevens?
They have to be Stevens that we would know about.
What about like moderately famous, like people who are probably
It's
like.
fine. It's fine.
You know what?
Just not
forget
some
it.
guy
We'll just
3,
we'll deal
2,
with it when we get there.
1, go.
Steve Jones.
1 Steve.
Stephen Ambrose.
2
Steve
Steve. 3 Steve.
Steven Tyler.
Steve
4
Jobs.
Steve.
Repeat Steve.
Steven Tobolowsky.
5 Steve.
Steve Reeds.
6
Damn
Steve.
it.
That's Steve Reed.
Repeat Steve.
Steven Cummings.
7 Steve.
George Stephenopoulos.
Not a true Steve.
Steve Stevens from the Vince Neil Band.
8 Steve.
Steve Albini
Oh,
9
nice
Steve.
one, nice one.
from the Shellac Band.
My dad's friend Steve Judd.
Non-famous Steve.
No, he's not famous.
My brother knows it now.
Damn it.
What about here's one.
Oh, Steve from Blue's Clues.
10 Steve.
Okay. Stephen
Hawking.
11 Steve.
Steve Applegate.
Non-famous Steve.
He's famous,
Steve
right?
Morello.
Non-famous
What is
Steve.
Stephen Applegate?
Non-famous Steve.
He was the director of the camp that Danny and I used to go to.
Yeah, that does.
That's
that
about
does
it. That's
not
like Steve Judd.
Non-famous
Alright.
Steve.
Okay, Steve. You said
Steve Reed.
Repeat Steve.
Stephen Hawking.
Repeat
Stephen
Steve.
Tyler.
Repeat Steve.
Thought that we're just repeating ourselves now.
Steven.
This is a pathetic number of
This is
Steves.
hard.
Even Steven.
Not a real person.
Steve-
Ray Stevens.
Not a true
Steve
Steve.
Halpert.
12 Steve.
Steve have the street.
Steve Martin.
13 Steve.
Did he
And,
die?
Ahab
No, he saw
Aram.
it.
Oh, I was thinking of Robin Williams.
Yeah, that's not Steve.
Steve.
Stevie Wonder.
14 Steve.
Stevie.
Stevie isn't. Stevie Ray Vaughan.
Stevie Ray
15
Vaughan.
Steve.
Nice.
Dave Stevens.
Not a true Steve.
Robert Louis Stevens.
Not a true
I'll give you I like
Robert-
that one. Neil
Robert J.
Stevenson.
Samuels.
Not a true Steve.
Bear Friend Tea Party.
That was really hard. We should try that again next week. See if we can get any more Steves.
See if we actually do more poorly.
So that came to a total of
Total number of Steves, 15.
Steves. Let's see if we can.
When I didn't think we would be able to name
Total number of Steves, 15.
Steves.
Yeah, let's see if we should do that every episode. We should see if we can beat our best.
Should we choose a different name every time?
No, we'll just stay with Steve, and we'll get like really, really good at it. But it'll always be 2 minutes.
But do we have to name all of them every time, or can we sort of pick
No,
it
it's
up?
not cumulative.
left
It's
off?
like it just becomes an exercise, and eventually we'll be famous for like being able to like name a bunch of
Those
Steves
guys
really
that can
fast.
name all the Steves in
the
20.
Steve namers. Yeah.
We'll do it like trade off, like Fat Boys vocal style.
Steve,
Like,
Steve.
Steve.
Yeah,
Steve,
one of us will
Steve,
just
look.
say
somebody will
Steve.
just say
That's the easy job.
Is one of the guys in the Fat Boys named Steve?
No.
That'd be really funny if we talked about the Fat Boys the whole time and didn't name him during the
That
Steve
would be
segment.
Bärfint Tea Party.
Thank you for listening to Bear Friend Tea Party. I believe if you'd like to support us, I believe that the offer is still on the table of $20. We will give $20 to the first person to call in, write in, and ask for $20.
At our email address, bearfriendteaparty@aol.com. And also, don't forget to set up a Facebook fan page for us, and then, or whatever, post to that.
Or Insta
promote
chat
us on Facebook. It's free for you to download Bear Friend Tea Party, but each episode costs us $700,000 to produce.
Yeah, so if you really want to support us, you should walk around town saying Bear Friend Tea Party every 6 seconds for the rest of your life.
That is true.
We did an algorithm, and that's the way it would get done.
Introduction. I'm the Prince walking in the place to do.
And I'm the unity better known as DJ Dr. Nice.
I'm Q Chief Dominator MC.
Alright, what you guys got? Tell me a little bit about how rap music got started, how you guys
got into it, man? How you just how you got
Rap got started back in the days, you know, just by people just going to parties and starting off with ho, ho, say ho, you know. Then it just, you know, it advanced. And we got into it by just listening to it over the radio, you know. I took interest in it from Cool Rock. You know, he used to rap before me. And, you know, I just started liking it. So I used to say rap stuff for other records. And I said, wait a minute, we have to stop this. And started writing down some original stuff, you know. And we got loose, and we got focused.
The movie Crush Group, that was like almost a biography, you guys, wasn't it? How you guys got started and stuff like that?
Yeah, the movie told the truth about, you know, the way we got really started. You know, we wanna polish it, you know.
We won a rap contest, first prize and everything. All that stuff was true. There was a lot of other things that they weren't, you know, really the truth. They just were playing into it, like, you know, Sabaros and the restaurant and all this crazy stuff.
How was it, since you guys, like Sheila E. is, you know, different type of music, how was it working with Sheila E.? I mean,
It was a lot of fun, you know, because one day while we were with Sheila E., Prince came down and he was really sung. She was a real nice lady.
You want to be on Bear Friend Tea Party.
okay, what's next for you guys? You can stay in rap music. I know you guys are acting now. Somebody
regular.